Today I have a new hat, and since it was very sunny earlier, some sunglasses. Unfortunately, the combined effect suggests a rather out-of-place Mexican bandit, not exactly the vibe that goes with a traditional gaff rig sailing boat on the Essex coast. Anyway, it's not so sunny now, so I take the glasses off. The hat stays on, however. It's only an hour or so after low water, and the gooey Blackwater mud is on full display. Last time I went upriver, so this time I thought I'd go out of the river a bit, but the tide's coming in and pretty much so is the wind, so I'm not sure how far I'll get, but give it a go anyway. As usual, forgot to loosen the topping lift. So this is nice sailing. Four knots through the water. It turns out to be a nice breeze, and I have full sail up. One thing I notice is a bit of weather helm, with shamrock rounding up towards the wind in the gusts. To counteract this and to stay on course, I need to pull the tiller to windward, or ease off on the main sheet, or a bit of both. Here I'm pulling the tiller to windward. This obviously keeps Shamrock on course, but also slows her down because the rudder acts as a brake. And here I'm letting out the main a little. This also stops the rounding up, but loses power and speed too. I'm also constantly checking my angle to the wind. I've found that Shamrock sails fastest when the back of the Windex arrow is roughly 30 degrees outside the tacking tab. Any closer to the wind and she slows down. In the meantime, I've got to keep you YouTube viewers happy, so here I am using my iPhone with one hand to catch a clip of a lovely Thames barge going by. The things I do for you guys. As you can see, I'm having to pull the tiller hard to windward to stay on course. But Shamrock is really moving beautifully. To be honest, the GoPro does exaggerate the speed effect, but who cares? It makes for a cool video and makes me look like a sailing wizard. In fact, I've just entered a race for the first time in my life. It's the Old Gaffers Association East Coast race on 5th of July, here on the Blackwater. Since I'm a total racing novice, I think I'll spend most of the race just keeping well out of the way of other boats and trying to complete the course. But it's good fun imagining that I can zip along like a racing dinghy. Anyway, might see some of you there. I think I might be better off with a reef in here. I'm getting a fair amount of weather helm, so I'm having to pull the tiller towards me, which is effectively braking the boat. I think if I took a reef in, I might actually go quicker. And I'm doing 4.5 knots, which is respectable. I think I'll take one reef in, see if the speed improves. hove to. Let's take in a reef. One reef in, fairly straightforward. Let's get going again. I forgot to tie up the reefing points. Going nicely again. And looking out for a catamaran coming up on the port bow. Okay, it's much more comfortable. 4.2 knots, so we seem to be going slightly slower. No, 4.3. Here I'm wondering if I'm going to hit the buoy on the starboard bow. The tide is running left to right and could easily sweep me onto it. I decide discretion is the better part of valour and change course to go below it. Yeah, 4.4, not 4.5 knots now. So reefing is a good idea. It's so much easier to control the boat because the tiller you can basically keep it more or less centre line, and the boat isn't heeling quite so much, so it's much more comfortable. Actually, I'm not sure if it was heeling less, but it had certainly stopped rounding up all the time, which made helming much easier. In fact, I was comfortable enough to tidy up a few reefing lines on the boom. And also go below to sort out a GoPro glitch. And then I enjoyed balancing the sails and the tiller and letting Shamrock just sail herself. So I was thinking of heading out round Sales Point and St Peter's Flats, but I think that's going to take a bit too long.
finally made it up to the Nass Beacon just off West Mersey. But yeah, it's slow going against the tide and the wind. But a beautiful evening.
And finally, the last tack, and the wind behind me back to the marina. To finish it all off, a picture perfect bit of docking. Makes a change from last time anyway. There. I needed that cup of tea. Thanks for watching.